Alright, for this video, we're going to take a peek at some of my favorite Great Capullo work, Creech. This is a poster which I had on my wall for about 20 or so years, so yeah, I got my original tack holes in. I had to get one of these old loader pieces to take care of it, though. It's got a few creases from a couple of moves, so yeah, this was a promo which I believe I got from San Diego Comic-Con many years ago, 96, 97 maybe. Alright. And that promo piece, by the way, inked by Phenom Danny Mickey. Okay, so what we got here, we got two series, plus two preview editions. This one in particular was gifted to me way back in the day. I believe it looks like it did come out in 97, Motor City Con exclusive. We then have the retail black and white preview, which is essentially the entire issue 1 just in black and white form. Again, full inks by Danny Mickey. So good. And then the first miniseries, I think it's 4 issues. Is it 4 or 3? Okay, I guess it's 3. Alright, so you got 3-issue series here, and then we got another 3-issue follow-up, and these are actually oversized. This book here, I think, is an additional 8 pages per book. Maybe 6, but it's definitely larger than these floppies here. 1997, 97, 2001. Did a couple more years on Spawn before launching this one here. This one here, all artwork, pencils and inks, by Capullo. So yeah, let's go and take a peek at these. This is just looking at the art. We're not going to talk about the story or anything. I do know that there's gonna be some sort of a crowdfunding or a relaunch of Creech, 2022, maybe 23. Allergies killing me as usual. All right, so these are very different preview editions, just so you know, and I do think that the content in this one here just seems very gothic-y. It's got some sketches, a couple pages. Yeah, very, very rough work. Some pencils. Very small preview, the inks by Danny. Let's see, and it's flanked by, you got some just random thoughts, things about the page, things about the book. So yeah, this one here is pretty interesting. Character designs for a couple of the characters, and of course, at this point, I think he's been over 20 issues, maybe 30 into Spawn by the time he was working on this series here. So a lot of that, Hell Spawn influence up in there. So yeah, yeah, these are all just headshots, different character sketches for characters that will appear in this initial miniseries. And then the pencils, I think this was a double page splash. I might be wrong, but anyways, I know that this piece ended up being a poster and an advertisement as well, possibly the cover to like Previews magazine or something for ordering. And then this is the cover to 3, yeah, in black and white form. Basically, I mean, this is actually almost the original size. So you figure an original is 17 by 11. So this is about 1.5 inches crop. So that's pretty darn close to like the size of an original board there. So you can see all of the noodles and everything else that Danny brings to the table. Yeah, so what I was going to mention about this one is I'm 75% positive that the content within this preview is the same content inside of the first collected edition. There is a trade. I do not own it. I actually passed on it when it came out because the paper quality did not feel nice like this paper here. It felt like they went a little cheap on it, possibly. There was something up with the quality where I was like, nah, I'll pass. Which is pretty typical of me in the 90s. Image was a trendsetter. they brought in the ultra gloss, you know, semi gloss, all those papers. Um, you know, really just for a kid, you're getting to see the nice crisp lines and those, you know, those wicked cool, uh, you know, cuts and grads and stuff in the coloring process. That you just didn't get on the newsprint. You would get the shading and stuff, but newsprint really was aimed towards the, you know, either cell shaded or 80s style coloring. Pantone. All right, so sorry. Man, it's humid down here, so it's like messing with my sinus. All right, so here's issue 1. This cover, I think, was only used for this. It might have been used for an ad as well. So, yeah, really, it's just a bunch of flex. You get to see Capullo, what he was capable of at the time. And then, obviously, Danny Mickey, what he was capable of at the time. There's lines everywhere. These originals in person, I've never seen one in person for this series, but they gotta look incredible. This stuff's so fun. So yeah, you know, it's got all the makings of a pretty solid book, especially for a creator-owned book. I think that Capullo rolled into this with a on a scale of 1 to 10, he was like a 20 on the confidence side. He was coming in strong. He wasn't afraid to pull all the stops with you know, panel layout and design, and very good at cramming a lot of information that made sense into small panels. It's very easy for an artist to get lost in these, but they're legible. Yeah, so yeah, he uses a lot of the same tricks as Spawn, you know, with the cast shadows, the hard bright lights on other areas, builds a lot of contrast. Like this here has to look pretty badass in person, I'm sure, on the original too. So yeah, this entire series right here is completely an art flex by the team. The dynamic duo of Capullo and Danny Mickey. Here's the same issue in full color. So we'll just flip through that. We already looked at it. And you can see what the colorist brings. Who colored the Tyson? I think Tyson Wengler was the colorist on this. Yeah, credits are in the back. We'll see it in the back. I think he pulled a, who was it? Lucas. All right. Yeah, here's that same page right here that you got to see. And yeah, the colors actually add to it. They don't diminish the line art there. So that's really cool. Super cool to see. This is one of the books where, as a line artist, as like a comic artist coming up, and you want to get some reference, see some cool stuff happening on the page, cool detailing. The colors don't really deter. You know, there's some artists who get teamed up with colorists who can like just wreck the art, and then you don't really learn much from it on the line art side. So. But yeah, all the information's there. You can literally go in here and see kind of where the white out and then the black and then the white layered again, maybe a third or fourth time, to create this sort of, you know, Sienkiewicz sort of, or J. Lee, I guess, would have been the influence at the time. You know, regardless of him, he's derivative of Bisley and Sienkiewicz. You know, when this book came out, was it 18, 19? Yeah, that would have been the influence that we thought, you know, we would have thought he was pulling from. But yeah, very stylistic, fits in the whole Spawn, you know, crunchy, almost like Crow, you know, could fit in like the Crow movie aesthetic. So yeah, there's issue 1. Issue 2. Let's see here. So we got, it's probably the weakest page in the entire series right here. But yeah, everything else is on point. And this is totally something I feel like you would see in Spawn during this time. What would it be, like Spawn 30, you know, in the 30s, prior to 50. kind of what the artwork feels like to me. Capullo's tech is always fun too. A little bit of an emote going on. They almost look like they have faces, even though it's a cockpit. You know, gives them a little bit of a human element, which is cool. And again, you know, good use of shadows. Doesn't overdo it. The colorist doesn't have to compensate for anything missing. Cool effects. You know, the colorist again just adds to the art, doesn't really take away from it. Overall, good hues, good color selections. Everything is vivid, not too bright, not too dull. That's a sick double pager right there. I did, though, always kind of feel like the scale here was off between Creech and Home Slice right here. I feel almost like he should be almost a Hulk size to this character right here. So they feel almost, you know, if this was Hogan, this would be Andre the Giant, and really it should be like 4 Andre the Giants, comparatively. Very cool face shot right here. I like the hard the hard shadow here with some of the very small fades, and the colorist kind of came in and dialed it in. You get to see a little bit of the facial expressions popping through here. Another thing with this series, you never see his face. You never get to see the face of this creation, Creech. But yeah, it's got about the same violence level too as a Spawn book. Here's some more of those sketches, and these were actually the sketches used in that Miller City Con across that bottom page. So at least a few of them. I feel like this one is more finished, and I don't recall this one or this one. This looks like a self-insert. This actually looks like Capullo. Yeah. Then so this back cover piece, this was the one used for the preview. So this is a sepia tone color version of this. Maybe was originally intended to be a cover for this, and they just threw on the back. I'm not sure. I don't have any inside information about that. Oh, that was issue 3. I went through them backwards. Okay, anyway, so here's issue 2. No biggie. We're just looking at the art. So, too focused on trying not to cough. I've always loved this right here. This is like show me a drawing that you can hear. It's this. You can feel and hear this. There's a lot of weight to this. You can hear that. You know, that's either that's a screech or a belch. And then this right here, with all this right here, like Danny brought in, all the grit and the grime. You can hear it. So, yeah, Capullo, master of stacks. He's very good at overlapping panels, stacking panels. Very fluid. Awesome creature designer. Yeah, I feel like there's just enough of like a Japanese influence, like Ghost in the Shell or whatnot, in these designs, where they don't feel like a Marvel design. They feel very, very fashion forward. Like this would make a great action figure, you know, where you know, he came over from Marvel, where most of the stuff over there feels like design it simple so we can make a toy. You know, with a lot of their designs in the mid '90s, they felt very, very simplistic. I don't think it was until like the Extreme runs over there that they started tinkering with more extravagant costumes and all that for their characters. This is a very cool panel right here too. Yep. So anyway, sorry about that. So anyways, yeah, you get to see issue 2 before you got to see 3 already. So here's 2. Again, this one's funny. It looks like he's actually throwing up or going to eat these panels right here. So that mouth is huge. But yeah, he gives you just enough information where you can kind of imagine what's going on underneath this mask. You know, with the way the head is inset anatomically, it almost reminds me of a mix between Sam Keith's Max and maybe Keown's Del Keown's Pit, as far as the features. You know, if that mask was to come off, or the clothing he's actually covered by the entire chest. Let me make sure these are in order. Okay, they are. Okay, so then we had to wait until 2001, and you got the Creech sequel, Out for Blood. I am going to make one comment here, though. This series right here literally had the best logo. This was a badass logo. I love this logo right here. This right here, it feels auto-generated, weak sauce, but the artwork's awesome, so I can look past the terrible logo. It just feels like a font. This just feels like a font. I don't know why this was abandoned. I feel like it should not have been. This should have been the trademarked look for Creech. It just feels like Creech. This right here doesn't tell me movie monster or animated series. This right here just says, hey, look, a comic. Fortunately, you know, Capullo's a master. So yeah, okay. So here's issue 1 again. Let's see here. I'm trying to make this a shorter video. Go and thumb through these real quickly. 2001, Capullo came back. No Danny Mickey, so this is all Greg inking himself. I don't know the deets behind that. I don't know if Mickey wasn't available or if it was a financial situation, or I do know at the time too, with art shares, for anyone that doesn't know, when you work with an inker, you usually do an art split, different percentages based on who you're working with as a penciler. But that can sometimes come into play, especially if originals are selling for you know, buckets of cash. A penciler might become more inclined to ink themselves, even if the inks are not as good as the person that they would have hired to ink them, for the sole fact of greed. This is pretty cool. I do like this panel right here a lot. So I'm going to make a comment here. What I do notice about Capullo's inks is he essentially is a very, very good emulator of what Danny was doing over him. A lot of the line weights are super similar to what Mickey would have done over this stuff. I think Mickey would have come in here and made these veins a little more prominent. There are things that Capullo obviously has a grasp, like he's a master artist, so he's got a grasp of what he's trying to do. But something like this here, you would have had a lot more speed lines by Mickey and probably some black and white splatter, and he would have looked like he's actually raising out of the earth very, very quickly. And right here, this just feels like he's coming up, you know, War of the Worlds style, you know, very slow, because it's lacking all the energy of the lines underneath. If I can use the word lacking for the series, that would be the one. Everything else about it, though, crazy solid. I've always loved this. I really want to draw a panel like this. Is so awesome. Yeah, so this one here, pretty much all out, pretty violent series for the second run. And again, I think there was, so what, 98? He probably had about 2 years between him actually starting this one. Unless inking himself, he just took his time and maybe took more than you know, a year and a half or so to start it, and then give himself a pillow. This is a very cool panel right here too. See, and again, back to great control of shadow. He brings narrative in. You got the DNA. Without the words, this makes sense. This page already tells you the story. Monster, DNA, scientist, sample. You know, most of us know Frankenstein. We would just connect the dots. So, all right. So here's issue 1. Good stuff. If you can find it, recommend picking it up. I can't help you with whether or not this has been collected. I feel like this one was collected. I'm not entirely sure about this. And these books are thicker. I will show you 3 issues here, okay, and then 3 issues here. This was the first series right here. So, and you can see this series here is definitely a thicker comic book. about twice the amount of information within these pages. Okay, so then issue 2. I think these are 32 or 36 pages each, and they even feel more like a, they probably could have been a square bound book. I don't think they're 48, but definitely 32 at least. Yep. So again, everything's awesome. That looks crazy. Yeah, he brings in a little more aspect of the monsters. I'm not going to explain these characters. If you want to read it, run out and grab these. I do hope that Greg decides to offer these again on his crowdfund of the next chapter. Definitely count me in on that. I do like the resurgence that I'm seeing with the with like the 90, the 90s, mid 90s stuff. And I also like to feel like maybe I had a part in that. A few years back, I did a book called 94, if you've never heard of it. And 94 is just my own personal thing for my own 25th anniversary in comic books. And it's literally just everything that was cool and nonsensical and disturbing about 90s comics. Errors and all. And it's just me purposefully trying to create a book in a series that is so 90s it's sickening, but in a good way, Kind of like a B movie trying to be bad. It doesn't really have to try, I feel like my book doesn't have to try to be 90s. It just is. So that particular series for me, calls back to books like a little bit like this, but more so Wildstorm / Extreme era product. Yeah, this is all like super strong work. This is, man, I love this right here. I love this. And again, the tech and everything, it's a little bit mixture of like Eastern Western design. And I don't think looking at because a lot of this is very it's super chonk and all that. So I feel like this is just out of Capullo's head. I don't think he was sitting there. This is such a great shot. This original would look badass on the wall. Yeah, I don't feel like he was sitting there with an Appleseed or a Pat Labor book open when he was working on this series. I think he just sort of retained stuff. He seems like an intelligent sponge, and is just able to, throw it down on a page. The double pager is pretty iconic. All right, so that's the end of that there. You get the epilogue. That reporter. All right, yeah, so then you got 9/11. He did a little sketch here. Very Frank Miller-esque, Sharpie marker. And then you get the covers. This is kind of cool in issue 3. So you get the black and white cover, and the other black and white cover, and the other black and white cover right there. A little bit more sketchbook section, and I do like that they put this in 3 because it's a little reward for those who stuck through the entire book. So yeah, that's it. So Creech Out for Blood, the 2001 series sequel to Creech, the original Creech series. If you are gonna seek these out, I recommend get the Out for Blood 1 through 3, and then also the 1 through 3 Creech first series from 1997. I think it ran until 98 because it started in like October, so it'd be like October, probably December, then February, something like that. I'm not sure if he took a month off, but very possible with their creator-owned book. And then I do recommend also, if you do find this, grab it. Super cool to look at, especially if you're an inker. Lots to learn in here, all right? Ton to learn in here. Creech, #1. It's going to have a $250 price tag on it. You're not going to pay $250. It's probably going to be $15 to $30. This one here, skip it. This is not a necessary preview. I think this feels very cash grabby, just something to have at the table. Possibly, he might have been guessed it, just needed a book to sell to make some dough with the show. So, but yeah, highly recommend that and both series here. If you can't find them, I suggest you possibly just keep tabs on Greg Capullo's Instagram, Twitter, whatnot. I'm sure he's gonna let you know when he's gonna launch that next chapter Creech campaign. And I've seen some of the previews. Looks really fun already. So, all right, thanks.